News 18. I am Ridhima Bhatnagar, getting you all the top stories over the next 60 minutes. We're beginning this broadcast with a CNN News 18 exclusive. Some reports coming in as far as a makeover that the Taliban could be mulling. So days after Afghanistan cancelled all divorces and forced women to go back into the clutches of abusive ex-husbands, sources now telling us here at CNN News 18 that the Taliban is now looking for an image makeover. Top leaders, we're understanding, met in Kandahar this week for negotiations on reforms, including women's rights. Now, the leaders are also making an effort to have Supreme Leader Amir Akhundzada replaced. Sources are also telling us, and they've revealed, that the extremist faction, which is in fact led by Akhundzada, has rejected a fresh push by the Taliban, quote-unquote, moderates, seeking to loosen restrictions on women and open up space for the opposition and then codify a constitution. Remember, there has been a lot of criticism as far as the regressive policies of the Taliban are concerned. If I just give you a breakup of some of the policies and moves that we've seen by the Taliban as far as their crackdown on women are concerned. Remember, girls today are banned from education beyond the 6th grade. Women are barred from traveling alone. They have to have a male companion with them. A male companion, as we said, is necessary for women to be accompanied by in public places. Women must also cover themselves from head to toe. And because of all of these regressive policies, sources now indicating that the Taliban also realizes that an image makeover possibly is the need of the hour. But there are two factions as of now, the extremists and the so-called moderate. Let's also now bring in our colleague Abhishek to try and understand what really is happening. Abhishek, you know, when the Taliban had taken over Afghanistan once again a couple of years ago, the one thing that they had promised was this is going to be a quote-unquote changed Taliban. But as months, weeks and days passed, we realized that this was possibly worse than what we had seen before, specifically as far as the crackdown on women were concerned. Now help us understand what are these meetings that are happening and why is the Taliban realizing that an image makeover is really needed?
So, to rule a government where the Taliban has now established themselves as a de facto ruler of Afghanistan, but to run the government, they need funding, they need assistance, they need humanitarian assistance, aid, and cooperation from international community. And international community is hell-bent on Taliban that unless until they change their way of ruling, unless until they try to make an inclusive society, a representation of all the minorities in Afghanistan into the political system of the Taliban, there is hardly any chance that they will get an international recognition and payoff. And until that happens, Taliban is not going to get any proper loan, grant or technical assistance from the world community in their development. Now the total Afghanistan population, they are totally in in crisis as we can talk about in terms of shortage of food. We know that India has again extended another 20,000 tons of wheat transit to Afghanistan. India has already given 50,000 tons of wheat to Afghanistan. There are shortage of essential commodity, medical supplies, and these are not the things that Taliban can avail without, bringing to the fore the democratic value that the world community is seeking from Taliban. And probably this is why this high-level meeting that has happened in Kandahar was trying to deliberate upon what are the things they can do within their own, rights in order to have a more recognizable
But
face of
Abhishek,
Taliban.
what is also important to note here is that even as these meetings are happening to try and look for some sort of an image makeover, as of now, there are two factions that the Taliban is divided into, and we'll just talk about what the representation of that two factions looks like. But just to give our viewers a better context of what the Taliban has in fact done as far as the crackdown on women are concerned. Now, as we pointed out, girls today are banned from education beyond the 6th grade. Women are also barred from traveling alone. They need to have a male companion to accompany them in public places. Women also must cover themselves from head to toe. Women today are also deprived of virtually all their basic rights, the most repressive in the world for women as well as girls. The focus is to leave women and girls trapped in their homes to keep them out of working as well as education. Abhishek continues to be with us. But Abhishek, let's talk about these two factions as far as the Taliban is concerned. One, of course, is the more hardliner and the other is the quote-unquote moderate. Talk to us about numbers, who stands where as far as these factions are concerned.
So clearly, there are this Haqqani group which has a close link with ISIS and Pakistan. In fact, many of their senior leaders were sheltered in Pakistan for a very long time. And when this whole Taliban power came back to Kabul, they were all, back to Kabul, and they were now detained as a proper, eminent members of Taliban's ruling elite. And clearly, the division that we have witnessed in the past has become kind of confusion, because initially, talking about the women's education, there were, demands, and there were notifications that women will not be allowed up to college. Then it went down to high school. Then it went down to primary school. Now, the kind of, aspect you were detailing, that women are not even allowed now to venture out without any male companion. And this crackdown hasn't happened overnight. And recently also we had seen Istan Karzai, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Afghanistan, talking at a seminar where he was kind of expressing the views that these hardline views will not get Taliban the international support that it is seeking right now.
Yeah.
So in that context, there is a deliberation going within Taliban that now the hardline group that they wanted to establish their rule, it is very much there. They are in power, but to sustain this power, they need funds, they need cooperation, they need recognition, and for that, probably they will have to look for some new change, the way they want to rule the government for a very long time.
Right. Abhishek, I'll just request you to stay on.